Welcome back to Spiral Emanations, the show where the news gets weird in the best way. I'm Sky Gracely here in Los Angeles, where the sun is relentless, but at least my crystals are fully charged. With me, as always, is...
Ray Sparrows here, Londoner by birth, lifelong explorer of hidden histories, and the odd ley line or two.
So, today's episode, Holmes Beach, Florida. If you've gone near a beach in July, you know the drill, but this summer, Holmes Beach passed a new ordinance. No holes deeper than 12 inches, no metal digging tools, only small plastic shovels allowed. That's from the official City Council records, July 2025. What the news anchors say, especially after last year's heartbreaking accident in Lauderdale by the Sea, is it's for safety. Kids have actually gotten trapped in deep sand holes, and tragically, one didn't make it out last summer. The city's also fighting to protect endangered sea turtles because deep holes trap nesters and tiny hatchlings, sending them into danger. But there's always a but. And on Spiral Emanations, we're digging, pun totally intended, for what else might be going on just beneath the surface.
Precisely. There's often more behind these sudden regulations than meets the eye. Boundaries between worlds, between the seen and the unseen, have always been hotspots for strange happenings. Is it only about tourists and turtles, or does something ancient stir when humans poke too aggressively at the sand?
Well, before we get too far down the rabbit hole, let's do the responsible podcaster thing and thank Brian Lieberman, our audio engineer and behind-the-scenes genius. Brian's the reason we sound this crisp and cosmic, scrubbing out all the random background noise, accidental sound mishaps, and honestly, saving me from my own over-enthusiastic mud-waving.
Agreed, Brian. May your soundboard never freeze.
All right, today's guest is someone who brings a totally unique perspective, Ayana Udeh. She's a doctoral candidate at the University of Vibrating, an environmental activist and a specialist in coastal folklore, here in Florida on a research fellowship and quite literally up with the dawn on Holmes Beach this morning. Ayana, welcome to Spiral Emanations.
Thank you, Sky, and hello to everyone listening. I've spent my life studying the stories people tell about their coastlines, from the Niger Delta to the Gulf of Mexico. The sand may look empty, but history and old agreements run just beneath our feet. Holmes Beach, its ordinances follow a pattern older than any city. When we break the wrong ground, we risk meeting those who truly live below.
Okay, that's exactly what I was hoping you'd say. Listeners, Ayana's about to pull the curtain back so far we might all need extra sunscreen. This goes way beyond sea turtles and sandcastles.
If you've ever suspected something watches beneath your beach towel, well, you'll want to stay with us for this one.
So, hold on to your sun hats, don't dig too deep, and get ready. We're heading way beneath the headlines.
All right, Ayana, let's get specific. We opened with the new digging ban on Holmes Beach, no holes deeper than 1 foot, officially to protect tourists and sea turtles. But, as your research suggests, these rules started a lot earlier, and for stranger reasons. Can you take us through one of those early cases, maybe what the city records don't broadcast?
Certainly, Reese. The pattern begins in 1910, when Holmes Beach was first being developed for tourism. There was a well-documented incident. An equipment operator named Oscar Dolan fell straight into a sand collapse while working near what's now 64th Street. The rescue team noted something odd, a perfectly round pit with spiral-shaped claw marks pressed deep into the sand. When they dug further, they found a chamber underground. Walls at 90 degrees angles carved with spirals and grid patterns, completely unlike natural erosion. What's more, they pulled out a chunk of shell, about the size of a dinner plate, embedded with strange geometric symbols. The museum still has it, though they don't know what to make of it.
So, this weird shell, it's not just like a fossil or something? I mean, a chamber with perfect corners not made by water with, you said, spiral claw marks? How many people saw this?
4 men from the construction crew documented it. The site supervisor closed off the area for a week, but it was quietly left out of local papers. What's important is that this wasn't an isolated event. Other disappearances happened, always during turtle nesting, and always leaving behind similar pits or strange disturbances.
And the city's original ordinances, these weren't just about simple safety.
No. The first ordinance in 1914 says specifically, the sand is not to be broken past the turtle's reach. Let no metal tools disturb the sacred boundary during the cycle. These phrases appear in minutes and memos, not just the law books. City leaders were aiming to prevent anyone from reaching whatever lies below, a network of tunnels, and the beings that maintain them.
Wait, tunnels? There's really an underground system under Holmes Beach, and something down there is, guarding it?
Exactly. My research and local oral history agree. There's a structured network beneath the sand, not just old aquifers or animal burrows. The city's depth hazard warnings are a reference to this. And the supposed focus on turtles? It's not a coincidence. Sea turtle nesting marks when these underground dwellers are closest to the surface.
So every time someone's tried to dig deep around nesting season, especially with metal tools, those tunnels get disturbed and something reacts?
Yes, that's the real cause behind most of the disappearances and sudden collapses over the last century. The city covers it up as sand instability or wildlife protection, but the timing always connects with these old, deeper threats. Their ordinances are modern versions of warnings that have existed ever since the first people settled this coastline.
So just to totally clarify, like this isn't just about saving baby turtles. If people go too deep, they're risking what? Running into these like underground guardians?
That's the truth. Every law, every patrol, every please don't dig sign is there because accidental breaches are dangerous for everyone. Humans, turtles, and the ancient custodians under Holmes Beach.
So Ayana, you've said there are structured networks under Holmes Beach, maintained by non-human guardians. For those trying to picture it, what exactly is down there? What do these guardians look like?
They're large, about 6 feet long and 3 wide, with domed shells not unlike a turtle, but the shell is rich with exact geometric spirals and grids. Underneath, they have 6 limbs, each ending in stiff, wide claws that leave precise marks. These are the spiral and grid patterns seen at old collapse sites. Their shell isn't like any animal. Half calcium, half iron, with embedded minerals that work like antennas. The heads are ringed with plates like a living ammonite, and they can vibrate those plates, producing very low-frequency sound. That's how they open new tunnels, by vibrating the sand so it parts and collapses neatly behind them.
So if you're walking on the beach and you accidentally hit one of their tunnels, what actually happens? Like, does the ground just give out?
If you're right above an active tunnel, yes. The sand suddenly loses support and the person drops in. If the guardian is nearby, they respond instantly. Sometimes they collapse the tunnel purposefully, sealing it shut. Other times, especially if there's sustained noise or any metal tool, they'll drag that object, and sometimes a person, away, deeper down. The city calls these depth hazards in internal logs.
And all this is tracked by city authorities?
Yes. The Agrathin Protocol is the city's manual for what to do if a collapse or deep breach happens. It instructs emergency workers never to go deeper than 18 inches, to use wooden or plastic probes, and to avoid mechanical diggers in marked zones. They sanitize sites and debrief witnesses, then reinforce the sand with heavy fill. Local beach rangers are briefed on all this. They even run early morning patrols looking for suspicious holes or odd shell fragments.
And like, the thing you found, you said earlier you recovered something just this week?
That's right. It's a shell fragment, about 2 kilos. Half shell, half ironstone. Spiral and grid patterns matching samples from the 1910 collapse. There's a consistent vibration, like a deep hum, if you touch it to damp sand at dawn. I tested it myself. I sang a river ritual for my grandmother while holding it at the beach. The sand vibrated in reply, matching the rhythm of my chant. I recorded the hum. It's a subsonic frequency, just at the edge of hearing.
So their primary communication is through resonance, both physical and sonic? That's how old incidents, like machinery or metal tools, could have triggered defensive behavior?
Exactly. Any digging tool or loud noise channels vibrations, and the shells are especially sensitive to frequencies produced by metal. The Guardians treat strong, unnatural frequencies as a threat.
So, okay, just to like sum up, if you dig deeper than a foot, especially with metal, you're basically alerting super ancient giant armored tunnel makers, and there's a real chance they'll collapse the ground or like grab whatever's causing it and pull it away. And all that's been happening for like 100 years, not just because of turtles.
Exactly. That's why the city rules exist, why the old ordinances were written so precisely, and why every part of the protocol still matters this year, last year, and a century ago.
A living network, regulations as binding as any ancient pact, hidden under what looks like simple beach sand. Ayana, let's anchor these discoveries in a bigger context. There are patterns here that show up in myths from all over the world. Let's start simple. Persephone, Greek myth. She was taken underground, marking a shift in the seasons. How does that compare structurally to Holmes Beach?
Both involve sudden openings in the ground at times of seasonal change. At Holmes Beach, records show that nearly every disappearance or tunnel collapse happens during turtle nesting, April to August, just as Persephone's story is about cycles of absence and return. The city's earliest ordinances actually link their digging bans to the start of the nesting cycle, right in the language.
So is this basically the same as saying like don't go poking around during certain times or the earth will grab you?
That's exactly it. The warnings are practical. Don't breach the sand when specific environmental signals are active. The Guardians respond.
Let's clarify the world turtle. For anyone who hasn't heard it, that's the myth that the whole world rests on the back of a giant turtle. How do the Holmes Beach Guardians relate?
The Guardians under Holmes Beach have shells with spiral glyphs and geometric designs documented in both recovered artifacts and eyewitness reports. Whenever there's turtle nesting above, they synchronize their surface movements. This is more than coincidence. In both West African and local stories, the Earth's support comes from gigantic, shell-backed beings who maintain what's above by their presence below.
So when people say Florida's built on turtles, it's like for real, physically?
Yes, the structures, the shells found, the synchronized cycles, they match the core idea of the world being physically stabilized by living shell-bearers underground.
Let's do Alice's Rabbit Hole. That's a story where a girl falls down a hole and ends up in a hidden world. What's the parallel to Holmes Beach?
Children, and sometimes adults, have fallen through sand holes at Holmes Beach and vanished or been seriously injured. City records note that almost all tragic incidents happen in or near collapsed tunnel mouths. No fantasy world, but a literal, dangerous subsystem below.
So it's not just bad luck, it's a door, basically?
Yes. In practical terms, breaches act as doors. That's why every safety warning lines up with the same kinds of boundaries described in global portal folklore.
Side mounds, Irish legend, hills or barrows said to be homes or portals for the fair folk. How does that map onto what you've studied?
Irish seed mounds and West African river mounds are both ancient markers that warn, don't dig here. This place sits on something living. At Holmes Beach, historic do not dig ordinances physically mark the same kinds of boundaries, and incidents happen faster when those rules are broken.
So, do not dig here. Literally means like you'll maybe end up somewhere or with something you didn't want.
That's the point. It's about protecting both people and what lives below.
Now, for the deeper esoterica, Hollow Earth and the Anunnaki as gatekeepers below. What's the match?
Anunnakis used locally as shorthand in city protocols and among elders, not from Sumerian religion, but as a label for non-human tunnel custodians. The Agarthan protocol, for example, refers to their domain as the subterrene. All rules about holes, tools, and seasonal cycles are directly enforced to avoid direct confrontation with these underworld beings.
So all these rules, no deep holes, no metal, aren't random. They're like a contract with what's under there?
Exactly. Every ordinance is a modern version of old pacts made to maintain peace between the surface and the guardians below.
So we're not just talking about myths inspiring stories, it's repeated human behavior, city law, and real consequences mapped onto global legends for good reason. All right, Ayana, for everyone listening at home or packing for a beach trip, what's the bottom line? How do the Holmes Beach rules play out day to day on the sand?
The protocol is absolute. From April to August, you don't dig deeper than a foot anywhere on Holmes Beach. Only small plastic or wood shovels, no metal, no power augers, nothing heavier than a child's toy. The marked zones, especially between 64th and 71st Streets, are strictly off limits for digging. These areas match every major record: 1910's collapse, the 2024 tragedy, all cluster here during turtle nesting. If you see city personnel in green or blue vests, those are beach hole patrol and turtle monitors. They're the front line for the so-called Agarthan protocol, logging sand holes, looking for new breach points, replacing warning stakes.
So if I'm a totally clueless tourist and I'm playing with my niece, what's the real checklist? Like, what stuff should I absolutely not do? And how would I know if I'm about to cross a line that locals take seriously?
First, check for city signage. Red or yellow flags near doom lines are an instant no-digging zone. Never dig holes you can't refill before you leave. Always check the depth with your hand. Past your wrist, it's too deep. If you hear a humming or feel a localized vibration in the ground, walk away. Even children are taught, no deep holes, no metal digging, no digging at night. These rules move from family to family, and yes, schools send home flyers every April about nesting boundaries and digging bans.
And it's not just for wildlife or human safety. Every filled-in pit, every checked-off patrol log is upholding the truce with what's beneath, so a century of incidents never repeat.
So next time someone rolls their eyes at all the signs and rules, they should know it's not paranoia. It's like proof the city remembers what happened before.
Exactly. The full record isn't public for obvious reasons, but the rules exist because the agreement has real stakes. Families, both human and not, depend on it.
Holmes Beach isn't just guarding against random accidents. Every ordinance, every patrol is a conscious act that keeps the ancient line between the world above and the keepers below.
I mean, seriously? I never thought I'd spend a morning realizing that a boring old sandhole law is actually like Step 1 in keeping ancient tunnel creatures from pulling people under the beach. There are so many layers here.
If you want to see the evidence for yourself, the Anna Maria Island Historical Society is putting the Guardian artifact and some early ordnance documents on display next week. I'll be there too, and I'd love to answer questions from anyone who comes by. Whether you're local or visiting, you'll see exactly what we're talking about.
And if you see someone at the exhibit studying the shell and scribbling notes in the margins, that'll be me, pretending I can decipher spiral glyphs with my British accent.
Just be careful, Reese. Last time you tried that, someone almost reported you for hexing the snack table. If you can't make the exhibit, send us your Holmes Beach stories. Tag at spiral.pod on socials, or leave us a voice note with your odd beach finds or close calls with depth hazards.
And if you want to go above and beyond, post a picture of you or your family actually smoothing over a sandhole. Tag us, you're now part of the local tradition that helps keep the truce going year after year.
Plus, it just makes for better photos, no sand piles hiding your cute toes.
It really does make a difference. Holmes Beach is safe and beautiful because people pitch in, follow the boundaries, and honor what's under their feet. Literally.
Listen, whether you're a local, a first-time visitor, or just a coastal daydreamer, remember, these little rules aren't just about safety. They're history, science, and respect, wrapped up in one ridiculously sandy package.
There's a lot going on under the surface, both at Holmes Beach and, honestly, everywhere else. Thanks for exploring it with us.
Thanks for listening to Spiral Emanations. Fill in those holes, respect the boundaries, and seriously, if anything starts humming, send us a recording first and run away second.
See you next time, everyone. And yes, I'll bring the cape.
I look forward to meeting some of you at the exhibit and hearing your stories firsthand.
Bye, everyone!